Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to another episode of CasualCraft. Once again, I'm your host, RedRipz, and we're here today with Cella in the top left-hand corner of the map. He is I think he's a Diamond League Zerg player. He's actually Team Ace's, I think he's StarCraft 2 Asian coach for Team Ace there, so we should expect something good out of him. He's known for some quite fun play. This guy, judging by some of the stuff I've seen in his stream. Anyway, in the bottom right-hand corner of the map now, we have DeMiGod. I think he's a player from Iran. I think he used to play Warcraft 3, if I'm right. But now he's a StarCraft 2 pro gamer, and he's the Terran player here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. And now straight away, of course, we're going to be seeing the Spy Leper coming out from here. Nothing out of the ordinary here, just opening up the game as ever, and Cella obviously not doing anything immediately. I'm reading his Wikipedia page. Cella's is known for arsing about quite a lot, in the sense that like he'll make words on the map out of spine crawlers, and there was a fun day Monday actually with him on, where he built 200 supply of SCVs, and that was his army. Yeah, so that's Cella. So we should expect something fun out of this guy today. Hopefully on here on Akalon Wastes once again. Now I've been trying this for a couple of weeks now. This whole casting walk, and to be honest, it's been a whole lot of fun. I feel like I've actually sort of really improved my like the way I talk, and like the quality of my videos has gone up and stuff, and my game knowledge is already increasing. So as Cella comes into the base here, we'll be seeing things like the refinery going down here. This is, obviously for the gas and that. Now he's got a barracks somewhere, which appears to be on his second base, and that's actually been hidden out the way there by DeMiGod. So I would if Cella actually even saw that. And if he didn't see that, then he's probably going to be, he's going to be wondering where that barracks is right now. So he's going to have a good look around and see if he can find the barracks with this drone. Because essentially, if there's no barracks in the main base of the Terran, it usually means that there's some sort of cheese going on. However, with this barracks right here, I'd imagine he'd be pretty quick to find this if he just... there we go, he's found it. So he knows now that he's relatively safe. So DeMiGod's obviously going to be starting off with the Reaper opening, looks of things here. That's why the gas was quite as early as it was, I think. Although I'm not... Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that's a good reason to get early gas there. Spawning pool, meanwhile, is finishing up from Cella here. We've just seen his second base come down as well now, and I imagine that he made that decision when he didn't see the barracks immediately, in the sense that he could get his pool down earlier and have a slightly later hatchery, and once he's got his gas out, he can get the zergling speed. And this should allow him to deal with anything that this Reaper can offer. Meanwhile, the Reaper's obviously just wandering around the map here, just finishing up this drone. We'll be having a little scout around with this Reaper now, and DeMiGod's going to see exactly what Cella's up to in today's game. Since it's Friday, I'm going to have this up on the internet much earlier than usual because I finished work earlier, which is quite good. So maybe I might do a few more games today. I don't know. I'll have to see how this goes. But we've obviously Cella's now pulled the drones out of the gas here now, so it doesn't look like he'll be going anything beyond the initial zergling speed, which obviously is fairly traditional unless he's rushing into layer tech or something like that. So yeah, as we can see, the Reaper has found both bases there for DeMiGod. And meanwhile, Cella's troops are going to be coming in here just to see really what's going on in DeMiGod's base himself. So obviously we've seen a command centre come down there immediately after the first barracks, and a factory coming down as well. So this looks like a typical sort of 1-1-1 thing, although he could be going into something more interesting such as mech. It's very much... have to wait and see at this stage, although we have seen a command centre come down first, so we're not going to be seeing DeMiGod sticking on one base here, which is a good thing, frankly. Because unless he was going to get some sort of early pressure up, and obviously the two Reapers there have completely cleared up the Zerglings in the middle of the field now. We're seeing reactors coming down from the barracks, and it looks like we might be getting some Hellions out here as the factory lines up to take position next to this reactor from the barracks there. Basically, you get your reactors down to allow you to build 2 units at once from the building. So if you, for example, build a whole bunch of Hellions right now at this thing. Yep, here we go. Double Hellions coming down. Very, very common against Zerg. Essentially, they're really good against biological units, Hellions, because they're flame, and like massive amounts of units as well because of like the AoE effect that they have. So if you've got a large group of Zerglings or drones, for example, Hellions can just charge through and absolutely massacre them. So this should be a little bit of poking around here for DeMiGod. He should basically just be seeing what his opponent's up to, and maybe getting a few drone kills in the meantime. I don't imagine he's going to go too heavily into mech at this stage, as he's not really developing that any further. He's looking for a third base, so maybe 3-base player of some sort. We're not actually seeing any stim pack or combat shield upgrades come down though, so that does mean he probably... Oh, there's the stim pack now. I was going to say, if we hadn't seen that, I would actually probably have gone back to saying he's going to go into mech, because just if you don't get those upgrades, you have to, pretty much, because the Marines and Marauders rely so heavily on stim pack upgrades. Meanwhile, at the Zerg base, we're seeing extractors coming down now, so this is actually a 2-base play coming out of the Zerg here by the looks of it. We're not seeing any sort of early third, we're getting roaches down. Normally by now a Zerg should have his third base down. 6 minutes is sort of about the latest you want to be taking your third if you're not going to be doing any sort of early pressure. However, it does look like Cella will be going for something relatively early as the Lings actually completely flank around this massive group of Hellions that DeMiGod's moving along the map, and he will be doing a little bit of scouting at the front. He's not going to actually get into the main base of DeMiGod, unfortunately, just due to this wall off that DeMiGod's got here quite nicely, although it does actually look like he might be able to just poke through. Depends when the Hellions get back, and as the Hellions come to the ramp now, we should be seeing some of these Lings actually die off here. Yeah, that's quite successful there for DeMiGod, just chasing away the Lings really. I don't think he's going to kill them all by any measure, but it gives the... oh, unless of course Cella allows the Lings to just run in like that, in which case most of them will just die. So now we should be seeing some more in the way of drones, maybe some more troops out of... there we go, a big drone transfer for Cella there, away from his main base. And I'd imagine before too long we'll be seeing something in the way of... some higher tech perhaps, or I'm not sure. We're only getting the ground defence at the moment for Cella, so I guess he's just taking it easy really. I'd imagine he's just got to get some troops out. It's all, this build that Cella's got going on is all very sort of early game stuff. He's not gone too heavily in his economy. He's only got 2 bases. He's building troops. He's getting an extra evo down now as well. So he's not tech too hard, but he's getting there. Meanwhile, we have seen the double engineering bay come down out of DeMiGod, so I imagine that it looks like we'll be getting a bioforce going here for him, especially once this third base has finished filling up these SCV lines of his main and second base. I'd imagine that would be moving down at the bottom of either here or possibly over the far side up here to take the third, and DeMiGod will continue to expand. Now we've got let's see how many barracks we've got here. 5 barracks out now for DeMiGod. So yeah, as I said, it's completely a biological play here from him. We're getting extra bunkers down at the front, and we would imagine if we start pumping massive amounts of Marines out of these things as soon as all the bases are totally populated with SCVs. Meanwhile, I've seen a third base come down out of Cella here at the top. This is pretty exciting actually, because basically he needs to hold this, and if he can't, he's going to really struggle, because Zerg on 2 bases is very, very difficult once you move past the sort of the early to mid game. You really do need that third base just to get enough gas in to get out the more expensive units such as the muters and things, and also it just gives you enough hatcheries to allow you to basically produce more units, because obviously with Zerg you produce all your units from these main bases. So yeah, with that going down as well, we should be seeing more stuff coming out here out of Cella. He's actually not got quite as many units out as I thought he might. He is just droning hard at the moment, which is, I guess, a good thing. Although, just judging by the lateness of the third base, it would have been nice to see that third down a little bit earlier, to be honest. Although he might have struggled to defend it, I guess. Meanwhile, he will be taking down the rocks here at the top and moving into what I'd imagine would be a 4th base here. It's again fairly common. You can very easily just break these rocks, which will then tumble into this gap here and block this entrance off completely. And that gives you a very, very safe third until someone comes and smashes up the rest of the rocks. Meanwhile, DeMiGod's actually moved down into his third now. He's I imagine it was the command centre that was there. Yep, absolutely. And we're seeing 1-1 finish up for him as well. So as he populates this base, we should start seeing some sort of assault out of him, I would imagine. As he's got quite a lot of SCVs and things down, there's no reason to be waiting anymore. He's now got 5 barracks going up. We should see a force coming out very, very quickly here from him, as he uses Widow Mines to defend along the front, in case of any pressure from the Zerg player Cella here, who's not actually doing really all that much at the moment, to be honest. He's sort of chilling out, he's getting his upgrades, he's getting speed for his roaches and for his banelings. We're also seeing ground carapace upgrades as well as attack upgrades, so I'd imagine we'll be seeing more of a sort of roach hydra force here as usual out of this, because of the ranged upgrades. Either that or perhaps swarm hosts or something. Just basically because we're not getting the melee upgrades. And I'd imagine he'd be hoping to finish this before it gets too late into the game, as once you start getting the super late game against Terran, you really want Ultralisks out, and then obviously you need the melee upgrades. So we'll very much be seeing where he goes with this. Meanwhile, obviously we've got 2-2 coming down for the Terran player now. We've got Concussive Shells just finished up there as well. And yep, general bio stuff going on. Looking very cool for him. Very cool for him here. We've seen 8 workers killed so far for DeMiGod. It's not a great deal, to be honest. It was probably just when those Hellions wandered into base before. That was very minimal economy damage, really. Although I reckon he's actually ahead on economy at this stage, as he's ahead on supply and also has a 3rd base completely up and running, whereas Cella here is really only on 2.5 bases at this stage of the game. However, we are now seeing a really large swell of Zerglings, Banelings, and also Roaches coming in for Cella here. So let's see what he decides to do with these troops as he scouts up the front ramp here against DeMiGod, who's actually moved his Widowmines away now. So that Ling does run straight in to get full scouting information there for Cella, and you can see exactly what sort of army he's going to have to deal with here. Banelings are perfect against this sort of thing. We've got a lot of Marines, so it's very, very dependent on the splits of the Terran player. Meanwhile, DeMiGod does look like he'll be sending out a little drop to go and explore further across the map. We're seeing all the Widowmines reburrow in preparation for some sort of force. As Cella actually just pulls his forces back. It doesn't like he'd be taking too much map control at this stage. I'm just going to pull away here and see where this one goes now. Okay, so that's very good, very good. Meanwhile, we've seen the drop come in here on the left here. It's not actually going to make it all the way to the base because it was nicely cleared up by that Queen there, and as the Zerg army pulls in underneath it, it's just going to fly away without very much bother there at all. So that's a little bit of a failed drop at that stage. However, we're going to see another drop in the top here for DeMiGod now, and this should be coming into probably the main base of Cella for some sort of just basically a pressure here to stop Cella from, well, taking his 4th base too easily. Well, actually, this is, as I say, this is just going to go straight up into the main base. So I'd imagine he'd be targeting down either the spawning pool or the hatchery there. Although nobody's actually dropped down at the 4th base again now, so the 4th has been cancelled. That delays Cella quite a bit, actually. Meanwhile, Cella's moving up the front ramp here of DeMiGod, and as the Widowmines go off on the first wave of Roaches there, they're going to tank quite a lot of damage there, and the Banelings can crush straight through the front wall, which means that basically DeMiGod has a lot to deal with here. He needs more and more Marauders, really, to take out this massive amount of Roaches, as the massive amount, as the Marines essentially aren't going to be doing quite enough damage to them here, as the Banelings do roll over and just crush everything in their path here. And while the Medivacs are out and about, there's really not that many in the way of troops for them to actually heal right now, as the Roaches of Cella do move down to the 3rd base here of DeMiGod, and they'll be taking out any anti-air unit, anti-air stuff and things, turrets and things, and then just focusing down the SCVs as they should do. So this is a big, big hit for the economy here of DeMiGod here, as the workers' kill count does rise for him, although he's not actually got completely ahead here in terms of workers' kill, and he's going to be gradually having these Roaches cleared up by the reinforcing troops. If we can have DeMiGod just pull them all together properly, then he should be able to deal with this quite comfortably now. Meanwhile, in the main base, of course, we have seen a drop here from DeMiGod, and this should be targeting down the hatchery. The Queen's already died, so I reckon this layer will probably fall unless we see any real sort of response here out of Cella. Meanwhile, we're getting 3-3 coming out for the Terran player. He's not actually got 3 defense yet, but his 3 attack is coming down now, so this should be leading into the late game here for DeMiGod here, as he just finally managed to clear up those Roaches, and that'll be the end of that initial little assault there from Cella, who's actually, frankly, I think he's come out perhaps worse there because his supply's fallen so harshly. He's double Hydralist denning meanwhile, so I guess he's wanting to make a really, really quick transition to Hydras. Either that or he's trying to hide one. Meanwhile, unfortunately, this layer here will be falling for Cella. I don't really see what you can actually do at this stage to stop this, as the 2 Marauders here are just going to completely clean this up before the Zerg army can arrive. Are they going to get it? Not quite! Surviving on 18 health there. That was really unfortunate for DeMiGod. He could have probably microed out the way a little bit more there against Cella, although it was actually, yeah, it was really, really close, but no cigars there, unfortunately. Not today, DeMiGod, not today. Meanwhile, Cella will be spreading his creep further forward here still, as he does as a Zerg player, while DeMiGod will be pushing in what looks like a little drop on the 3rd base, which was actually taken down there. Did I completely miss that? I think that was a little drop there that I totally missed, which is a little bit unfortunate, but never mind. We've seen it go, we've seen it come. So now we've got 4 bases down once again for DeMiGod here, and we've seen a little defensive force here for Cella, so I don't think we'll be getting anything too much in the way of damage here for DeMiGod, as Cella has moved already to defend this 3rd base of his. Meanwhile, the Banelings are being sort of targeted down there, but not really with any efficiency. We see Marines wander around the map clearing up Overlords, and one more drop yet again in the main base of Cella here, although he's got such a force here to deal with this that I don't think DeMiGod's really going to manage to do much damage here, unless of course he can just pull through and kill off these Hydras quite nicely. That's quite useful there, as the drop is picked up once again. We're seeing both upgrades come out for the Hydralisk here, so we're seeing some sort of mass Hydralisk transition, I believe, here for Cella. Meanwhile, we've got the 4th bases down, looking very, very strong once again for DeMiGod here, as he's completely refilled this, although he does need some more in his gas perhaps, although he's floating quite a lot of gas, just because he's playing Bio really. You don't really need much gas playing Bio once you put your upgrades out of the way and a few Marauders out. Meanwhile, in this attack we're having Cella move in here, although with the slightly better concave of DeMiGod plus the Medivacs on top, and I think the slightly better upgrades as well. It does mean that, it's not actually, it's still 2-2, sorry. The 3-3 upgrades haven't yet finished for DeMiGod there. He is just going to crush forward there, especially with the help of Stim. and that's a lot of supply to be lost there for Cella. That's really, really unfortunate. Supply pack's going to be plummeting as the Overlords die there. Although this little Hydralisk and Roach Army should be clearing this up for Cella here, as DeMiGod is forced to pull back off the creep once again. Meanwhile, we're seeing some more Widow Mines coming out. We're seeing additional command centres come down here for DeMiGod as he prepares to move away from the massive amount of SCVs he has into a much more mule-centric economy. This will allow him to build a much bigger army as he just stretch finally up to the 200 supply mark at the top. Essentially, you kill your SCVs to free up a lot more supply and use mules to actually get your economy, to continue your economy growth. And that basically allows you to build a lot more troops because you've got free supply with which to do that. Meanwhile, Cella's stuck on 126 supplies. He struggles to replace his overlords, and will also be really struggling to get off 2 bases here, as his little swell of Roach Hydra is basically being held on the creep here by this force of DeMiGod, sorry, who will now just moving forward slightly, clearing out more creeps as he goes, not really doing that much in the way else, just sort of coming in as he engages now, and it's a much bigger concave here for DeMiGod. He's got a much higher army supplies. Cella is actually completely defeated there, and he actually loses the game. That was quite unfortunate really for Cella, really. He started off pretty well, but I just feel he took his economy a little bit too late, and kind of he did struggle to really get away from the sort of the drops of DeMiGod, who just kept bothering him in his main base, really. Meanwhile, DeMiGod has actually managed to completely macro up 4 bases completely. He's been getting loads of upgrades down. To be honest, his macro was really strong in that game. That was very nice for him. And meanwhile, obviously, he's going so many barracks now. Cella would really struggle to push past that, even if he had managed to baneling away this army. The counter at this point for Cella, I guess, would probably be something in the way of banelings. That would probably go through this sort of thing pretty well. But like, when you've made this massive switch to Roach Hydra, and the Roach Hydra just dies like that, it's really difficult. There's not much you can sort of do at that stage, especially as you're so far behind with your macro, having the 3rd base taken out repeatedly, completely unable to get a 4th base down, and the Terran DeMiGod here just completely wiping the floor with him in that respect, by the fact that he's just managed to get 4 bases down and just almost completely mine out 2 of them, which is very positive. So well, thanks once again for watching my game. Like, comment, subscribe. Any feedback's always welcome, and GG, well played to both players. Thanks.